After refusing to pay for allegedly breaking the rules at an Airbnb that he rented, a superhost renting that short-term rental to the customer decided to pursue some pretty petty revenge against the guest. Now, it ruined the guest's marriage, according to a new lawsuit, so buckle up, things are about to get real spicy. So here's how it all went down. Back in 2022, a gentleman by the name of Shawn Mackey, not much of a gentleman, as you'll find in just a moment, rented a 4-bed, 2-bath home for a weekend so he can spend some time with friends in Memphis, have a good time. They were planning on going to a football game. Now, he was recommended superhost on Airbnb, Pamela Fuller's little bit more country home. He decides to rent it, and according to the listing, Fuller was renting the home for $567 a night, and it could accommodate up to 12 guests. Okay, clear.
Pretty good.
You can read the listings, that's what it says. Mackey booked a stay for 2 nights from September 9th to September 11th for a total of 4 guests. In making the arrangements, Mackey told Fuller that he would be in town to visit longtime acquaintances and that he may invite them over for dinner. Emails included in court filings show. So Fuller did ask that he register anyone planning to visit the property, even if they weren't staying overnight, but that additional guests were fine. Like, okay, you're gonna have more people over, that's totally fine. You need to tell me who though, like let me know, register these guests, even if they're not gonna sleep over, and we're good to go. She also listed the house rules, including, by the way, Airbnbs are the worst, no smoking or vaping. No vaping? No vaping. Come on, man. I get the no smoking. But like, anyway, if you don't want to rent out your space, then don't rent out your space. I can't stand Airbnb. Okay, let me keep going. No excessive noise or parties. Okay, it's a house. All right. No guests from the local area. Unclear what that means, but okay. Why the local area? Is there something wrong with the local area? You don't want guests from the local.
Shady people live there.
Okay. No parking in front of the garage doors or on the right side of the driveway. And there will be a $250 fine plus cancellation of the stay for arriving with additional guests. So this person's a stickler, has some pretty strict rules. The rules warned that there were security cameras on the exterior of the house, and judging by how harsh and strict this superhost is, I wouldn't be surprised if there were cameras inside the house, although that claim is unfounded. Okay, let me be clear. And then this is where things get tricky. According to the lawsuit, the plaintiff at 6:08 p.m., plaintiff, true to his word or work, updated the guest list as follows. Okay, so there's the list, there's the proof of the list, and then Fuller wasn't too thrilled about that, telling him that actually only 8 guests are allowed and that he would have to pay for the extra guests. But remember, the listing said that up to 12 guests are allowed. Okay, so this is where things get super shady. So 45 minutes later, Fuller again asked Mackey to either add the extra guests or have them leave. So pay more for the extra guests or have them leave. She also stated that they received complaints of disturbances, yelling and profanity from the neighbors. I have no way to prove that. And look, if you're being super obnoxious and loud and disruptive to the neighbors, that is annoying and you should be penalized for that, in my opinion. Eventually things calmed down, but after the stay was over, Mackey did leave a negative review. And Fuller didn't like that. So Fuller began allegedly harassing Mackey, opening a claim with Airbnb and charging him a pretty massive penalty of $960. She says that she was charging $160 for 4 extra guests, 2 nights at $20 a night, $250 for violating rule number 6, no local guests allowed.
How did she know?
Who knows?
I recognize that guy.
$250 for violating rule number 8, excessive noise, and $300 for moderation of your review.
We might have millions of people watching this show, but you can be the difference maker because we just need 1% of our audience to be paid members, and then this show can be around forever. So you can make that difference. Click join now.
You're fining him for leaving a review you didn't like. It gets worse, John.
My guess would be that like you can probably pay to have a review taken down or something like that. That would be my speculation.
You pay for it. He's not.
She would prefer not to.
Right, obviously.
Yeah.
Now, after Mackey refused to pay the $960 in additional fees and penalties for allegedly having extra guests over and violating 2 of the house rules, Fuller emailed his wife a photo taken by one of the property's security cameras, which showed Mackey in the company of another female at 3:16 a.m.
3:16, huh?
Here's the image. Here is the image.
Is she arresting him? Like, it looks like she's handcuffing him.
I mean, it is another woman.
Yeah, look, it's 3:16. We get what the photo was sent for.
I mean, don't we all like to make a nice dinner and watch a movie at 3:16 in the morning?
Dinner, movie, sleep at 7:30. Yeah,
listen.
don't do that. That's crazy.
So I went from being mad at the Airbnb superhost, Fuller, to now turning on, I'm just kidding, I didn't turn on Mackey. Listen, Mackey and his infidelity, his decision to be seduced by the pleasures of the flesh, unacceptable. I'm not in favor of that. Be good to your wife, you're not being good to your wife. However, this Airbnb superhost is a terrible person, right?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to fine you for using the phrase pleasures of the flesh, but how about this? It's gonna blow your mind. What if they were both bad in this story? And he threw a huge party where he invited a bunch of people over and made a bunch of noise, and the person was being too much of a stickler.
Listen, John, we live in America where nuance is not allowed, and you must choose a side, okay? Good, bad, good, evil, black, white, which you gotta pick.
In that case, the host seems kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But I don't know what, like maybe there's a context where they've had a bunch of people come over and have huge parties. I don't know. I've never hosted Airbnb. I've just been to it and I consider myself a model tenant. But
can you imagine looking forward to a trip with your friends and you have like a giant list of rules for the place?
I would be very annoyed.
Rule number 58. You must wash your feet before you enter the house. Like, don't rent your place out.
You don't need to do that. Jesus will take care of it for you.
Right.
But
by the way, I would prefer if people take their shoes off if they enter my place.
Suddenly the list starts to come together.
I've seen the whole men's bathroom urinal situation. You guys step in some nasty stuff. You can't walk into my home with your shoes on. That's unacceptable.
That's fair.
Right? Yes, yes, Shawn.
Plus my dog pees in the house all the time, so it's just, it's getting worse and worse. But yeah, I think that they both theoretically could have handled this better, but $960 seems like a lot of money.
No, that's insane, and I too would refuse to pay that fine or that penalty.
But regardless of the money or the violations of the rules, you cannot be taking surveillance photos to try to ruin someone's life, to effectively like kind of blackmail them into paying you the fine you came up with.
That's right.
I do not want that to be an established precedent.
I will say, I've completely stopped. I mean, I wasn't really a big fan of Airbnbs to begin with, but every once in a while, if the situation was desperate and there were no hotel options, everything was booked, okay, I'll go with an Airbnb. Last time I did it, which was a long time ago, there were the cameras, like the Nest cameras everywhere outside. And I didn't like it. Like, I did not like feeling as though I was being surveilled. It's like, hey, do you not trust me? Like, do you think I'm gonna blow your house up? Like, relax.
And can you really trust that there's not one inside of the house?
No, you can't. It makes me super uncomfortable. I don't like it. So I guess we're gonna have to stick to hotels.
Okay.
And by the way, don't buy up homes to do short-term rentals. That also makes you a bad person.
Thankfully, some states have been cracking down on that.
I know, I love it. I want more of that.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. We also love it if you hit the join button below because that makes you a member. And members allow us to be independent, honest. We can be as progressive as we want, no corporate media influence, and that's all because of you guys. We love doing the show with our members. Hit the join button, become one of the Young Turks.